Welcome into Moving the Chains. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps for our Week 9 preview show. John, Moving the Chains, as always, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. We've got some region titles on the line this week, playoff seeding on the line this week. I cannot wait for Friday night.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And luckily, I'll say for us, we might not have to wait till Friday night. It might be Thursday night. We see a lot of games. Some rain rolling in on Friday might change the schedule a little bit. So we may just have a couple of days till we get some good football.
Yeah, I've seen a handful already moved up to Thursday. I saw one on Saturday as well. If you want to check out that ball game this weekend, but will be a lot of fun here in Week 9. But appreciate you guys tuning in. Like this video, share it, tell all your friends. Feel free to comment, ask about your favorite team, talk about your favorite team. Love to have you guys in here as always. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. MovinChains.com is our website. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do our live preview show at 7 o'clock or so most Tuesday nights. See Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Check us out. A little bit late start tonight. Had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we're good to go now, I hope. If we're too loud, let us know. Turn your volume down. We'll do what we can. Sorry, guys. We do a recap show comes out on Sundays, podcast platforms for that one. We do our scoreboard show, our Friday night spaces on Twitter /X about 10:30, 11 on Fridays. A lot of fun with that as well. Before we get into the games, once again, Moving the Chains merch on sale now. We've got pictures on our social media pages. We've got an email address set up, mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. Reach out all your questions. We got hoodies. We've got Richardson hats. We got Yupong hats. We got some toboggans for you guys. The cold weather's coming. The cold weather's kind of here, John, actually.
Yeah, it's cold.
Get you some of this football weather gear here and support the boys. Help us keep making the show better and better, and it'll allow us to buy better equipment and things like that. So definitely hope you guys can support us and check us out. mtcgear.sc@gmail.com with all your questions, pictures on all of our social media pages. But, John, it's time for our CONA games of the week. CONA.care for more information, as always. Like we said, we've got 4 really big ones. Our SCISA game is a big one as well. A lot of region titles on the line. Let's start down in the low country. Summerville, the Green Wave, 8-0, number 1 in 5A in the polls. Our poll, everybody's poll right now, number 1. They're traveling to Ashley Ridge. The Swamp Foxes at 7-1. Their lone loss to Fort Dorchester a couple weeks ago. Coach Jeff Tate have those boys rolling right now. Summerville, a little bit closer than we thought last week, John. 48-30 over West Ashley. Ashley Ridge, they blew out Berkeley, an improving Berkeley team, 48-14. We talked about Summerville all year long. They're a really good football team. Haven't really been tested that much. We feel like Ashley Ridge, though, they have some players on offense that can stress that defense, especially Derek Sally Jr. Does Summerville continue to roll? Does Ashley Ridge give them a test? What do you feel happens on Friday night?
I think it's going to be a really, really good ball game. Summerville, they had that tough game, start the season off against Carolina Forest. Close ball game there. This is going to be, I think, just as tough or maybe a tougher ball game than that game there. It's in Ashley Ridge. That will help. That's it's not Summerville.
Yeah,
Ashley Ridge. In all honesty, I don't know what kind of home atmosphere Ashley Ridge has, but they got a really good ball team and they got a really good chance to win this game. I think this is a very highly competitive game. I think we really find out is Summerville, are they good enough to really come through all of Lower State, really prep for the long run? Typically it's been Fort Dorchester the last few years, and we've when they had Zoltan Osborne the last couple of years, it was, hey, this Fort Dorchester team's for real, and we kind of knew what we were getting with that squad. With Summerville, a little bit different. We talked about them last year. We said, man, they play really good defense. They could just put some points on the board. They'd be really good. Well, they're doing that this year.
Doing both this year. Yeah.
I think they win this game. I think this is a 1-score ball game. I think it's going to be similar to like that game we were at last week, Westside and Greenwood, where it comes down to a couple plays, and it could be, could come down to who's got the ball last. These are 2 pretty good offenses here. I like Summerville just by an edge in this game, though.
Summerville averaging 51 points on offense, 18 points on defense each week. That's pretty impressive there, John. Quarterback Jaden Cummings, big game last week. Kind of an odd stat line here. 10 for 23, 357 and 6 touchdowns. So kind of all over the place, but he's played really well for them this year. Jaden has. Running back Trey Green's a good player. Everybody knows watching for Yannick Smith, the Shrine Blower, the ECU commit. He's a stud in the return game and out wide. He had 5 for 237, 4 touchdowns last week. Quintrell Pettiford also had a couple touchdowns for them. Defensively led by Rilo Mitchell, Jaden Kelly Murray, Raynard Middleton. Head coach Ian Rafferty's doing a fantastic job there. Growing up, and even back before we were growing up, John, Summerville was like one of the premier teams, if not the premier team in South Carolina under Coach McKissick. They had a couple down years for the last few years, but I think they're trending up the right direction now. Coach Rafferty's doing a great job bringing that tradition back to the Green Wave. Ashley Ridge on the other side, averaging 40 on offense, 22 on defense. I mentioned Derek Sally Jr., a heck of a ball player, one of the better wide receivers in the state. Quarterback Trevor Kalies is playing well for them. Nick Jefferson's a good player, the defensive side for those guys, along with Dylan Polanski. New head coach Jeff Tate, a guy that knows how to win, won a state title with Wren a couple years back, knows what it's like to be in a big ball game. And that Fort D game that they lost, it was a pretty competitive game. Like, it wasn't a blowout. I mean, it wasn't, last minute, last score. But Ashley Ridge held their own there. I cannot wait to see Derek Sally Jr. going up against Yannick Smith. Like, that's two of the better wide receivers in the state. Love what they do, getting those guys involved with some run game as well, some direct snaps to them. Great to see what they can do there. But I think Summerville, a little too much firepower. I like their defense a little better. I think that's the key to this ball game, John. I think the Green Wave win. I'm thinking maybe like a 35-21, 35-27 type ball game. I like Coach Rafferty in the Green Wave, but I think this is a good test for them.
I agree, and I do think we see some points on the board in this one tonight. I think there's just too much talent out wide for one of these teams to completely shut down the other.
Yeah, looking back at last year, Summerville won 28-13. I'm expecting a few more points than that one, John, but should be a fun ball game. Drell, any comments on the Summerville Ashley Ridge ball game? We got Dion going 35-31 Summerville. I can see that certainly. Corey says Summerville win as well.
Yeah, we also got just some shout outs. Got some people.
Always bring them in.
So.
Corey, good to see you, man. Marion is rolling right now, looking really good. Zach says region title week for most teams. Exactly right, man. Going to be a lot of fun here in week 9. Bulldog Brooks, Strom Thurman. Hey, you boys got a big one. We'll talk about that in a little bit, Bulldog. Patrick, what's going on, man? Good to have you in here as always. Of course, is Marion region champs. Yeah, they've been, I talked about this in the recap show. Played really well against Andrews, Kingstree, Lee Central. Blew all those guys out. Looking really good now for Coach Hennessy. Bossman says, let's go Strom Thurman. That's a big one. I like the Rebels this week. Bradley, good to see you in here, man. Appreciate you as always. Dion, good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you hopping in with us.
Got some shout outs to, I guess, some 7-on-7 guys playing in the
awesome.
game.
Yeah, Donald's big in the 7-on-7 scene with Yannick Smith, Jaden Cummings there. 2 stud players there. Derek Sally Jr., I don't know how these guys lose a game in 7-on-7 with those guys there. Good to have you in here, Donald. Caleb, good to see you, man. Appreciate you being here as always. Tay, the Rebs got a big one this week for sure. We'll talk about it here in a little bit. Derek, good to have you. Yeah, big one for Powderfield taking on Wren. We'll break that one down here in the 3A slate in a little bit. Kevin, Coach Jones, good to have you in here, my man. McCormick, I think McCormick is playing Saturday, I believe now. I think so. That's one of those ball games that has been moved for this week, so it'll be fun to get a little Saturday night action in here. Anything else before we look at our next CONA game of the week?
Let's go to the next one, guys.
Perfect. Our second CONA game of the week, one that I know Zach cares about. That's Chester at Clinton. The Cyclones at 8-1. The Red Devils at 6-2. Region title on the line. Last year, Clinton won this ball game 48-20 on their just roll to that upper state title game. Chester coming off a 48-16 win over Emerald. But this game, John, was closer than that. It was actually 18-16 Chester at the half. Had a little bit of problems there early on, but pulled away late. Quarterback Trooper Floyd went 10 for 13, 283, 2 touchdowns. He's also, I wouldn't say a dual threat, but he's mobile enough to kind of, be a threat back there. He can move around a little bit there. Running back Elijah Coleman, big stat line here, 18 carries, 217 yards, 4 touchdowns last week. Wide receivers Pendergrass and Williams, defensively led by Baxley, Hopkins, McCree, and Taylor. Averaging 36 on offense for the year, John. Only about 13 on defense. Clinton on the other side, 36-20 over Woodruff last week. 43 points per game on offense, 20 per game on defense. The new story for Clinton, obviously, this year has been injuries. A lot of guys being out, a lot of running backs being out, especially Copeland and Robinson and those guys. But the quarterback, Teshawan Richardson, has played really well. They're throwing the ball more than they usually do. He's done a really good job back there kind of commanding that offense. Running back DJ Clark starting to step up for them. Wide receiver Caden Crawford set the record for receiving yards, school record a couple weeks back, having a couple of huge games for them. Shrine Bowl player, Cincinnati commit Zay Johnson playing defensive back and wide receiver for them. He's a big-time playmaker. Crawford as well, playing great on defense for them, along with Brett Young at linebacker. This is a game, if Clinton was full strength, like beginning of the year Clinton, I would pick them, I think, by a couple scores to win this one. Yeah. But with their injury problems, I worry a little bit. But the Red Devils at home, Wilder Stadium, that's a tough place to play, John.
Yeah, that's really tough. If this game was in Chester, I would feel pretty easy, or not easy, but I would feel really good about picking the Cyclones. I think they're playing really good football right now. You say, hey, they were in a dogfight at halftime against Emerald, but good teams. Hey, you can't be on every single week.
Yeah.
But for them to turn around and say, all right, we got to put the pedal to the metal, hey, that first half went great, but they outscored them 30-0 in the second half.
Yeah.
So they certainly woke up. They certainly finished the job, and they've got experience. They've got guys that have been around, been starting for a couple years now.
Coach's son at quarterback. That's always a big key.
They've got pieces in the right place. And I think they're playing really, really good football right now. That one loss was to South Pointe. That game was not close, but other than that, they've just played really, really good football. This region really comes down to Chester and Clinton. I think Chester's a little bit, because of the injuries for the Red Devils, I think they got a little bit of the edge here. Now, can that home field advantage for the Red Devils pull Clinton over the top? That's going to be the big factor for me in this game. So that'll be interesting. And it'll be interesting if this game gets changed to a Thursday instead of a Friday.
Or if we just get any weather in general, I feel like is a big
think,
plus, or not plus, but just a big factor.
I think if this game gets changed to a Thursday, that favors Clinton, because that gives Chester a little bit. I mean, both teams less time to prepare, but okay.
Love it. They're going to play in the rain. I love it. Let's go.
Right. I like that. I like that. Use whatever it is to your advantage there. But I think I like Chester a little bit in this ball game. I think they're playing a little bit better because of what they've got on the field. Like you said, if Clinton was at full strength, 100%, I'd go Red Devils. But they're not. For that reason, I'm going to go Cyclones in this one.
I think the key for me, John, we mentioned Trooper Floyd. He's a good player right there. But the running game for Chester has been really good all year. Elijah Coleman, especially, at 217, 4 touchdowns last week. Clinton last week against Woodruff held them to 30 net rushing yards. I think they had 15 yards taken out in sacks. I think they technically had 45, whatever it was. But that's a really good performance for Coach Campbell's defense there. Really good performance. It's talking about the rain, especially, who can run the ball more. I like what Clinton does on the ground a little bit more than what Chester does. So just as far as just giving more options, I like that run defense for the Red Devils. And special teams too. You never know with the wet ball what could happen. I feel like the last couple of years, every week or every couple of weeks, it's like Clinton had a big block punt for a touchdown, or a big kickoff return for a touchdown, or whatever it is. I think the Red Devils cause just enough, chaos. Either it's a turnover or a block punt or a big return, whatever it is. I think they win a close ball game down to the wire. I like Clinton to win a close one at home here and win that region title.
I tell you, if that happens, if there's a play like that where, a big special teams play, whoever makes that play, I think wins the game. Because I think it will be, again, I think we'll see a very, very close ball game. And whoever can make that big play, late, perhaps, wins this ball game. And if Clinton can pull it off, I think the Red Devils win. But I like Chester in this game.
Tay says Clinton by 14. Ooh. Okay. Dion says Chester by 14.
Okay,
a little bit both sides here. I like it. Paul Smith says Clinton in a close one, 28-21. I think that's kind of what I'm thinking, kind of a one-score ball game there. Zach said, don't you do Hey, I took Clinton, Zach. I took Clinton. John did not. John's going to
get I'm probably taking a chance, Zach. I'm probably taking a chance. I know.
I love it.
Yeah, that's all we got for this one, guys.
Yeah, Clinton pound the run game for sure. Any other shout-outs we need to give, Drell? We're just going to move into this next ball game.
Got our man Kevron in here.
Let's go. Gray. Yeah, Gray IMG on Thursday night. We'll talk about that one here in a little bit. That'll be a fun ball game for the state of South Carolina for sure.
We got Louisville here
by 20. Probably not enough points. They're probably about 40 or 50.
I'd say that'd be a good.
It says 40. Yeah,
20 would be a good first quarter line.
Let's go to the next game. Oh, hold on one sec. Oh, we got this one right here. I had to get that in there.
Terrence says we saw Hampton did Woodland. Yes, we did. They were one of our teams of the week, and a pretty easy choice too. The way they dominated the Wolverines. So we'll get to that. Get to those guys here in a little bit as well.
And just a reminder before we go all the way.
What has been rescheduled? Let me check. I can tell you. I know we've got. I think McCormick is scheduled for Saturday. We've got West Side. They're playing easily on Thursday night now. Louisville, Whitmire also on Thursday. Yeah, McCormick, Calhoun Falls on Saturday. Then Westside easily on Thursday. That's all I've seen right this second. I'm sure there's a couple more. If you check us out on Twitter at Movin The Chains, movie and CHAINS. Whenever we see those, we send those out. So definitely stay tuned on that social media platform. We'll kind of keep you guys updated as we go about games that are moving across the state and especially here in the upstate. But looking now at our third CONA game of the week, John, another region title on the line, another 3A game on the line, and that's Crestwood at Camden. The Knights at 7-1. Camden rolls in at 6-2. Last year, Camden won this game 53-20. Really non-competitive there. Crestwood defeated Darlington 39-12 last week, averaging 45 on offense, 17 on defense, led by Javion Martin. Camden coming off a bye last week, averaging 40 on offense, 17 on defense. So two very similar teams as far as, points for, points against, John. In years past, it's always going to be we pick Camden because they've been big bad Camden, killing everybody, it feels like. But this year, they've shown a few cracks. And on the other side, Crestwood has looked really, really impressive. Can the Knights, I don't know if you call it an upset, really, because we've got one of them in our poll and one not. So maybe not an upset, but can Crestwood, I guess, kind of, upset, or not upset, but can they kind of take over that region that has been Camden's for so long?
I think being at Zimp Stadium, this is another game where the home team's got a great advantage being at home. I think Crestwood's better. Grayson White at Camden he's improved a lot as a passer.
Yes.
This year, he's done a very good job throwing the football. May Rant out there on the outside for them has had a great season as well. But here's the difference I see between these two teams. I think they're both very, very good. If you had asked me at the beginning of the year who I like better, I'd say Camden. Both of these teams have played a couple, not a ton, but they played a couple very high-quality competition. When Camden has played a really high-quality competition, they've gotten beat up a bit. Hartsville beat them pretty bad, and then Gray the very next week. They were not really competitive against Gray. The offense couldn't get a whole lot going. They got beat up. They got beat up in both of those games against their two toughest competition. And then you would say that third best team that they played is probably Myrtle Beach. They kicked off against in week 0. But that was Myrtle Beach. They just didn't have everything.
Long time ago now. Yeah.
And that's a much different Myrtle Beach team now. Now you look at Crestwood on the other hand, okay? When Crestwood played their tough games at the beginning of the year, they nearly knocked off Gray.
Overtime, I believe that game was.
Awesome 62-60 game. That was in week 1. And then they bounced back the next week. Maybe not as good of an AJ team as we thought they would be, but really good running back in Thompson. They shut them down. They only gave up 7. And then the week after that, they go to Sumter, and they take the belt for Sumter County. They knock off the Gamecocks 27-21 in double overtime in a thrilling ball game there. This is when Crestwood's played top-level talent, they've won. Now, that Gray game, okay, they lost. They lost by 2. You could say kind of a coin flip game there. But they, and the fact that they went on the road and beat Sumter,
that's big.
A really, really big deal. And honestly, them losing to Gray by 2 in that kind of ball game is really impressive. I mean, we're talking, you say what you want to say about, hey, you can't, you don't celebrate a loss. There's teams in South Carolina that don't want to play Gray. They're forfeiting so they don't have to play Gray. Crestwood almost beat them. That carries a lot of weight to me. I think Crestwood's a better team. Can they overcome the home field advantage that the Bulldogs have at Zimp? I think they do, because they did at Sumter, and I think they'll do it again Friday night in Camden. They're the better team. They should win this game.
Grayson White, you mentioned multi-year starter at quarterback, 27 touchdowns on the year, running and throwing, can really get it on both sides there. Running back Avery Hickman's a name that we know, along with wide receiver John Mayrant, guys that have been playmakers for a while for them. Defensively, Wilson Nash, Oderfield, averaging probably 10-plus, 12-plus tackles a game for them. Tylen Drakeford as well. One of the best corners in the state, Jordan JoJo Krim, had 2 picks opening week against Myrtle Beach. People don't throw at him anymore. He has none since then because people start throwing the ball towards him. But he will play a factor in this game against that Crestwood passing offense for sure. Last week for Crestwood, Javion Martin, 242, 2 touchdowns through the air, 72 on the ground, another 2 touchdowns running the ball there. Running back Azarian Yates, 116 and a touchdown. Wide receiver Jeremy Richardson, 7 for 104. Kyle Mitchell, also receiver for them. And head coach Roosevelt Nelson, a guy that we don't talk enough about, really building this program up. Obviously, it helps out when you got to start a quarterback like Martin there. But he's done a great job with that Crestwood program, getting them to this level. And I keep looking at that Gray game and just the stark contrast in how those teams played them. Like you mentioned, Crestwood take them to overtime, lose by 2 points. Camden, non-competitive, getting pushed around, bullied around. I think Crestwood is ready for this ball game. I think Martin, when you got a playmaker like him, you can beat anybody. I think Javion Martin and Crestwood win this ball game, win the region.
And they have to do it with talent.
Yeah.
This Crestwood team that's been very close last few years. It looks like this year they're there. But the thing that Camden also has working for them is they've got a lot of experience.
They do.
Mayrant's been around a while. Grayson White has been starting for, it seems like 8 years now. And he is started as a linebacker, really. Now he's really become a quarterback.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of experience on that football team. Very, very well coached, and they expect to win.
Yeah.
That's to have not only the belief that you can win, but the expectation that you should win and that you will win is a big thing. Confidence for young kids is a big thing. You got that confidence, that goes a long way. And Camden certainly has that, and they'll certainly have that in this game Friday. So that's a factor. I think that makes this going to be a very competitive ball game. But I think Crestwood, talent that they have, will take over in this game at the end.
Dion says Crestwood by 10. Corey says Crestwood with a blowout. Okay, that would be something. Zach says Camden with the upset. There's really not an upset. Yeah, that's what he said to me. Both teams are solid. Bossman says Crestwood by 10.
Yeah, that's all we got for this game as far as comments go. It's just some housekeeping stuff for you guys.
Yeah, one quick note, though, like you said, John, cannot overestimate the power of Zemp Stadium.
That's right. That's right.
Playing at Camden, that's a big deal, but I still like Crestwood.
It's a region championship. Don't let them ring the bell.
Yeah, Bossman says Blackfield wins. Exactly right, Bossman. You're right. That Blackfield Hilda game did get moved to Wednesday. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but that was moved, I think, prior to the weather. I think it was a couple days ago. But they are playing tomorrow night. The Fighting Hawks are.
We got 3 nights of football, 4 nights of football.
Yeah.
Let's keep rolling, guys.
Perfect. Looking now at our 4th CONA game of the week, a massive matchup over in Rock Hill, John. The South Pointe Stallions at 6-2, traveling to D3 Stadium. The Northwestern Trojans at 7-1, hosting this ball game. Region title on the line. Last year, the Trojans won 43-35 on the way to their upper state title. Later on in the year, losing South Florence for the state championship there. South Pointe, a couple weeks in a row, John, they have not looked great. Won by a field goal over Lancaster 2 weeks ago. Beat Indian 21-8 last week. Averaging 25 on offense, 14 on defense right now. Northwestern, they continue to roll. They lost week 0 to Providence Day, a 7-point game. We've said it 15 times. 5 times in the red zone that ball game, no points. Had a great chance to beat Providence Day and Jane Davis and those guys. But since then have just been dominating everyone. They beat York 56-14 last week, averaging 52 points on offense, 16 points on defense. And, John, if they were playing a full game, it'd probably be more like 70-5. Like, these guys are just dominating everyone. Can South Pointe, who we know has as many athletes as almost anybody in the state, can they put it together this week? Can they challenge the Trojans, or is Coach Walford's squad just too much?
This is South Pointe has been a little bit, and we say this, I feel like, the last couple of years of South Pointe.
Yeah.
They're kind of like this throughout the year. But with this year, this South Pointe team, and they're all a little different, right? You got different kids in different roles, and kids graduate, kids step up, what have you. But this South Pointe team, when they've had a big game this year, they've stepped up. They beat Spartanburg to start the year off. Yep. They had a great chance to win the football game over at the reservation. Gaffney just a little bit better than they were that night. But they had chances. They had some self-inflicted errors, penalties in that game that put them behind the chains a lot, but they could have won that game. They could have beat Gaffney as well. When they needed the South Florence game, they were right in that game. They lost by 3 to South Florence, a South Florence team that is really, really, really good in their own right. This South Pointe team, when they're focused and they're locked in, they can play.
Yeah.
And, if they can play a clean football game, we're going to see a close game here. I think they've got to do that, though, because Northwestern is the better team. I think they have got everything really in their favor. And this is, there are probably 2 or 3 teams that you could say in the state that has got South Pointe, talent-wise, game plan-wise, size-wise, speed, athletic ability, and Northwestern's one of them. Northwestern plays their game, they're going to win. But this is going to be a close ball game. I don't see Northwestern just blowing the doors off of South Pointe. I think South Pointe keeps this game very tight, keeps it close, but Northwestern's better. I think Northwestern, and we said this before, I think they're the best team in 4A. really they're probably the best team in the state.
Certainly could
if
be.
Northwestern played Summerville, I'm picking Northwestern.
Mm.
I think this Northwestern team is got everything going for them right now. I think they win this game. Should be an awesome atmosphere at District 3 Stadium. But I like the Trojans in this one. Finley Polk, another guy.
Yeah.
I've been saying this. It seems like a handful of times now in the show. A guy that's been around for a while.
Yeah.
A quarterback. And I was watching ESPN today. They were talking about college football. I forget who they were talking about. They were talking about how important it is to have a good quarterback. A quarterback can play. Look at the New England Patriots. How bad they are. We know Belichick can coach. If you don't have a good quarterback, you can only go so far. Trojans don't have that problem. South Pointe doesn't have that problem.
Yeah.
You look at the good teams around the state, they got good quarterback play, and it's hard to get much better than what Polk's doing at Northwestern.
Yeah, South Pointe, 25 points on offense per game, 14 on defense. Quarterback Malachi Marshall, not sure the situation there. Didn't play, I think, the second half against Lancaster. Did not play at all last week. Adrian says, didn't play second half, didn't play Lancaster. I'm not sure if he's back this week. I don't know the situation there. They've been very run heavy, obviously. Mason Pickett-Hicks last week, 11 for 111 and a touchdown. Aiden Turner, also a good runner for them. 2 weeks ago, when he just played a half, Marshall did, Pickett went 24 for 244. Turner went 20 for 101. They had 47 rushes 2 weeks ago, 29 last week. They're really becoming run heavy without Marshall. I don't know the situation. I don't know if he's back or not. I don't know. But the defense, you got Evan Irvin last week, 12 tackles, 4 TFLs. Reese with 11 tackles. The two secondary players, Antoine Nelson and Jazavian Currents, will have to play big against that Northwestern receiver crew there. CJ Dixon up front. They did force 5 turnovers last week. That's a key. If you can get a couple of those off Polk, or maybe cause Richard a fumble, whatever, maybe you can hang around. But Northwestern, I think, is just too talented. Finley Polk, 7 for 9, 203 and a touchdown last week. Turbo Richard, one of the best, if not the best running back in the state. I mean, the guy's a stud. The BC commit, I wish more folks would give him an offer in Power 5 because he can get it done, flat out get it done. Wide receivers, Burris and Dixon and Knox and Nichols are really good players. Defensively led by Perry and Massey and Watkins. What does worry me a little bit, John, is if Northwestern has to play a full game, are they prepared to? Because they haven't had to since week 0.
No, they haven't.
They've been playing a half, and they can really, get some subs in, take the foot off the gas. Even against like Gaffney, that game was pretty much over, third quarter. They could not have to really focus and play as much. So if South Pointe can hang around, make it tight in the third quarter, fourth quarter, does Northwestern, do they tighten up a little bit? I mean, they know, we talked to take Coach Walker before the season, state title or bust for those guys. Like they know that's the goal. Are they going to tighten up a little bit in a close game? We'll see. I like Northwestern to win by a couple scores. I think Turbo Richard, too much firepower there for those guys. I do like the South Pointe defense, but I just don't know if they can score enough points because Northwestern's defense just as good, it feels like. So I like the Trojans to win this one. I think they wrap up the region and win this ball game over at D3 Stadium.
I think so too. And you mentioned, hey, can they play a full game? And if this was Northwestern and say Irma, okay, a team, not a rivalry game. Okay, maybe that could be a factor. But the fact that there's going to be probably close to 10,000 people at this ball game at District 3.
Yeah,
it's going to have all the juice you can have in a Friday night. It's your rivalry game, and these are kids that have been around. They've been in big games. They've played 4-quarter games. It's not going to be new to them. They're going to be, if it's a tied ball game with 5 minutes to go in the game, they're going to be locked in and ready to go. I like Northwestern in this. I could see this being a one-score game. I could see Northwestern win by 17. I think it kind of dictates what kind of game South Pointe comes out because Northwestern's pretty even keel. They don't seem to get too high or too low. They play, within themselves. They don't make a whole lot of mistakes, a whole lot of errors. So then it comes down to, okay, what does South Pointe do? Do they make a ton of errors in this game, get a little bit out of hand? Or do they say, hey, here's another big game. We're going to come out and we're going to play. And I think they do. I think they make this a pretty tight. I think it's a 7 to 10 point ball game.
Yeah, I think we both like Northwestern. Dion says 55-14 Northwestern. Hey, that's what they've been doing to everybody else. So who knows? Patrick says 14 or 21 for Northwestern. Yeah, it certainly could happen. Bradley says Northwestern by 14. Tay says Northwestern puts up 60. They certainly could. Don't forget last year they put up 89 on rival Rock Hill. So Coach Walker and the boys like to get after it for sure. Chris says Northwestern by 14 or more.
Yep, that's all. The rest of these are kind of like some housekeeping things that I wanted to go through. We got our friend Courtney back.
Courtney, good to have you here.
BHB.
Another warm up this week. Big game against Wren next week. Chris, good seeing you, buddy. Appreciate you being in here as always.
We got Robert checking in on YouTube.
Robert, good to see
us.
you. Huge win for Dylan last week. Big time win for the Wildcats.
Yeah,
let me see if there's. Yep, I don't think there's anything else. John, I appreciate you trying to both sides it though, but Northwestern's going to roll in this football game. The best team in the state.
You don't think it could be a 10-point game?
I don't think so at all.
Maybe in the first quarter.
maybe I'm just being wishful.
Love it.
Let's keep rolling, guys.
Perfect. Our fifth CONA game league, our SCISA game of the week here. Beaufort Academy at Colleton Prep. Both teams at 6-3. Beaufort Academy lost to Thomas Hayward 41-28 last week. Colleton Prep a 25-21 over Carolina. The Eagles 23-19 on the season. Offensive and defensive points there. They've lost 2 games in a row. Quarterback Dietrich Schufer's a dual threat guy. Running back Jackson Porter had 153 and 3 touchdowns last week. Porter and Delaney lead the defense. Colleton Prep quarterback Cole Davis, a dual threat guy, multi-year starter. Last year had 2,700 yards, 34 touchdowns. Running back Caleb Davis there, Roger Walker Bryan, defensively led by Rowe, McMillan, and Davis, averaging 31 on offense, 23 on defense. These two teams met twice last year, John. Regular season, Beaufort won 20-19. Playoffs, Colleton Prep won 23-20 to go on to the state title game before losing to Williamsburg. The Eagles, with new coach Nick Schuford, played really well early in the year. They've had some really nice wins, but the last 2 weeks kind of scared me, losing both those ball games. At least win one of those against either Williamsburg or Thomas Hayward. Weren't able to pull it off. Colleton Prep continues to just keep on rolling, keep on chugging. But that was a close game, I thought, last week against Carolina as well. Who do you like in this matchup?
I think Beaufort's too good to keep losing. Mm-hmm. They have not been very good the last few weeks. You said lost 2 in a row, 3 of the last 4. I think they stopped that. I think they're too good to lose 3 games in a row, 4 out of 5. I'm going Beaufort Academy.
I like it. I think I'm going to go Colleton Prep at home. I like the Davis kid at quarterback, where he can run it and throw it. I think those guys can win there at home. But will be a really tough ball game. It should be a close one there in the SCISA ranks. Drill, any housekeeping questions or anything else we need to chat on before we wrap up our games of the week here?
Just want to shout out to Caleb. Yes, you can go back and listen to this on Facebook, YouTube. There's recordings of the video, and you can also go back. We'll have an audio version that you can listen to as well. We got some more shout outs. I think that's Robert's on Facebook too.
On both platforms. Love it, man. Pop in on both. We love it. We love it.
We got them everywhere. Let's see. We got Burns by 50. We'll be getting into that.
Burns
soon.
by 50. Okay, we shall see. They've got a bye this week, so they're actually not going to win by any points this week, I think. They got a bye this week.
Much respect for my man Derek showing up.
Yeah, tough one against Latta. You got Lamar this way. Like I said, you got to get right quick because you got a big game for Silver Foxes here on Friday night.
You got a heck of a region now.
Kurt, how about the Warhorses? Big game this week. They had a nice win last week. Jaquan Peoples at running back starting to figure it out, which is helping out your grandson Cam a lot. They're getting better and better. We'll talk about them here in 2A here in a second.
Thanks for checking in from Oklahoma. I want to say again, that's pretty awesome.
Cool.
Northwestern will take down South Lawrence per Bradley. That'll be a tight ball game as it stands right now. I'd probably lean Northwestern, but we shall see. I think there's a good chance we see that game here.
That'd be a physical ball game there.
And
Dangerous only 4 passes away. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was looking at the stats there. I know they played the Currents kid. I think threw a couple passes there. I can't remember who the guy was, but they really run heavy for sure. So interesting to see what they do. I don't know if Marshall's back or not, but they certainly need him if they want to win that ball game.
And everybody else will be getting into the rest of these games in the next segment.
Perfect. One more time, our CONA games of the week. We got Summerville at Ashley Ridge, Chester at Clinton, Crestwood at Camden, South Pointe at Northwestern, and our SCISA game of the week, Beaufort Academy at Colleton Prep. Drell, let's give a quick shout out to our friends of the program before we look at the statewide schedule.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to CONA.care to learn more.
Okay, let's take a quick look, John, at our 5A slate. If you guys have a team you want to ask about in 5A or comments, feel free to shoot them in the chat. Love to get to those, and we'll kind of go through this 5A slate.
Let's talk about one of our CONA games of the week. Summerville going to Ashley Ridge. Rock Hill will be at Blythewood.
That's a big game there. Rock Hill, if they win, will have region title against Clover on the line next week. Blythewood lost 2 games in a row to Clover and Nation Ford. They've got to win this game to have a shot at even getting, I think, a home playoff game. But Coach Pittman has the Bearcats playing pretty good football this year. I like Rock Hill to win that one.
Yeah, 2 teams kind of trend in opposite directions right now. You got Spartanburg going to Boiling Springs. That could be a low-scoring, close ball game there.
We've been talking about Spartanburg and how that offense is struggling all year long, really. Bowling Springs is a hungry team. This might be the one they could pick off because I don't think Spartanburg can blow anybody out. So I think Bowling Springs will be able to hang around in this ball game. Will they be able to get it done against that defense? I don't know. I like the Vikings to win, but it should be a close game, I think, on Friday night.
Yeah, it's going to be who can make a couple offensive plays.
Yep.
Socastee will be at Carolina Forest. Fort Mill goes to Clover. Gaffney at Dorman.
Dorman played very inspired last week. Took Burns down to the wire, scored 2 late touchdowns, had a 2-point conversion to tie it, did not convert, ran a reverse. I don't like the play call, but that's neither here nor there. Lose by 2 points to the Rebs. But they fought hard. I think they had 2 pick sixes in that ball game there. Defense played lights out or played well for them. Did give up a kickoff return. Don't love to hear that. But Gaffney's starting to hit on all cylinders. I feel like I need to figure out a little bit more on offense. The offense worries me a hair, but the defense is playing great. We know they have the playmakers, John. We know they can do it. Got to get it together, but I do like the Indians to win this game.
Yeah, I don't see Dorman having the luck that they had. I see like they had a little bit of luck against Burns. I don't think they have that this Friday against Gaffney. River Bluff will be at Dutch Fork. West Ashley goes to Fort Dorchester. Aiken is at Lexington. Malden hosting Hillcrest in that rivalry game. Golden
Strip rivalry there. The Rams, I think I saw a cool stat. This actually rivalry is like tied. I think it's 36-36 or something. It's a pretty high number, and they are dead even right now. So fun to see that.
That's pretty cool.
I like the Rams in that one. A big bounce back after last week's loss to TL Hand. I think they win this game. Malden not been very good this year. I think the Rams and Coach Swigert win and win that rivalry and take the lead in that rivalry.
Yeah, I don't see this game being close. Spring Valley will go to Nation Ford. RB Stall hosting Cane Bay. Berkeley goes to Stratford. Sumter hosting St. James. Tijuana hosting Woodmont. Wando will be at home against Goose Creek. And Chapin goes to White Knoll to close out 5A.
And if you guys missed our game of the week, Summerville Ashley Ridge Talk, beginning of the show, you can go back and check that out once we're done. And we broke down that game from the Green Wave and the Swamp Foxes. Jeffrey picked Summerville. I think we both did as well, but should be a fun offensive ball game. Chris says Gaffney Dorman has him nervous. Yeah, Dorman's played better the last few weeks. They're in a good spot to make the playoffs because they already beat Bowling Springs. Coach Morris is trying to inspire those guys. Running back Nick Means is playing well for them. The defense is making plays when they need them. But I think you guys are a little too good right now.
Yeah, you guys will be fine.
Yeah, Bowling Springs, that's a tough game for me too. I feel like Spartanburg's the better team. But like I said, that offense has been worrying me all year long. We'll see what happens here on Friday night.
I'm gonna go Spartanburg, but I can see that. I can see that being a 3.7-point game, like a 14-17, 14-10 kind of game. We're into 4A.
White Knoll big. I agree, Hector. Those guys are playing great football right now. Obviously, the big win over Dutch Fork 2 weeks ago. They back it up with a shutout win over Lexington last week. Coach Pelham has the boys playing great football. They have to be one of the contenders, the top level teams in 5A right now.
Yeah, for sure. They've got the defense for it.
Anything
else? Let's kick it down to 4.
Looking down at 4A.
Starting with Snoozer, we've got Lugoff Elgin going to AC Flora.
Talk about disappointing programs this year, John. And it's not your Demons. The Falcons, I thought they're going to be pretty good this year. Have not lived up to the hype. Had a couple really bad losses, it feels like. Don't know what's going on with that program. I know they lost a lot of talent from last year, but I think they'll be back next year for sure for Coach Floyd.
Yeah,
that might be a good game.
It could be a good game. It might be a low-scoring ball game. I like Flora by a little bit in this one, though. North Augusta will go to Airport. Pickens at Berea. May River is at Bluffton. Indian Land goes to Catawba Ridge. Lucy Beckham at Colleton County. A Lucy Beckham team we haven't talked about yet tonight. They're a good team.
Undefeated still.
They are going to be a factor in November.
Yes. Big, strong, physical, playing really good defense, especially for Coach Smith.
Lawrence will go to East Side.
Lawrence somehow won 2 games in a row. They've got a chance to win the region now. All of a sudden, after looking horrendous early in the year, they're starting to turn around a little bit, playing good football. The Raiders they should beat East Side. We'll see what happens down the stretch here.
Greenwood coming off a tough loss at Westside Friday. They'll be hosting Greenville. First home game they're playing since September 8th.
Yeah.
So good to see Greenwood getting back to the BAB on Friday. This could be a really, really good game. Greenwood, we saw them Friday against Westside. They're a good football team. They got some talent. They're still running the ball heavy, but have a 2-back shotgun formation. It's pretty fun to see. But that should be a fun game. Greenville should win that game, but Greenwood at home, Chris, I think it's going to be a lot closer than that.
And I tell you what, they're playing for a home game in the playoffs too. The loser of this drops to that 3 seed in that region. You don't want to be there. You have to go on the road right away. Big game here for them. I was impressed by Greenwood last week. I didn't know what to think about those guys. They played really well against Westside. Greenville has the talent. I think they win this game at home. I think it's going to be really close.
Yeah, I could see Greenville win by 10, but I think it's going to be a very competitive ball game. West Florence will go to Hartsville. Hilton is at James Island.
That West Florence-Hartsville game has gotten a lot more interesting the last couple of weeks. Hartsville had a bunch of injuries. They're getting figured out now with Hakeem Waters, McKendry Douglas being back. West Florence getting better. Franklin Emerson's doing a good job running the offense there for them. Trey Leonard, the transfer, is getting better and better each week. They've had a couple nice wins lately. Big game for the region standings there. I like Hartsville at home at Kellytown. That'll be a fun ball game.
South Aiken will go to Midland Valley.
Sneaky there. Midland Valley, obviously undefeated, playing great football. South Aiken has enough athletes to be anybody. I don't know if the quarterback is back. I know he was out last week, but Javon Edwards, the running back, is a stud. He can get it done. But I think Trayvon Dunbar and Coach Chapman squad a little too much.
That should be a fun game. There's some good talent on that field for that one. Wilson will go to Myrtle Beach. Ooh, 150 each. Oh,
could happen. Could happen. Yeah, that South Aiken defense has been their Achilles heel for a couple years.
One of our CONA games of the week, maybe the game of the week, South Pointe at Northwestern over at District 3 Stadium. Ridgeview will go to Richland Northeast. North Myrtle Beach at South Florence. Wade Hampton hosting Greer. Easley will be at Westside. I think you said
Thursday for that one. Yep.
Irmo goes to Westwood, and York hosting Lancaster.
I'll talk about Richland Northeast for a second. That could have some points in that ball game. R&E with Will Wilson, they're putting up a lot of numbers there offensively. He's running and throwing and doing a great job there. Ridgeview, tough loss to Irmo, got smoked in that one. They need a win in this ball game to kind of get that second seed there. Gidron and those guys got some. I think I picked up a Miami offer today. I saw Jordan Gidron get, so cool. Good for him.
Congrats.
Should be a fun game there. And then that Lancaster-York game. York getting blown out by Northwestern last week. I thought it'd be a little more competitive. It obviously was not. Lancaster is getting better, I feel like. I don't know if they're quite going to beat York yet, but that could be a fun ball game over there in the York County area.
Yeah, I think that'd be a close ball game there. And that game is at Lancaster, too. That will help the Bruins.
Drew, any comments on the 4A slate? South Florence by 80. Yeah, certainly could be. Certainly could be. Valley by a lot. South Aiken defense is bad. Yes, it is. South Aiken has to win shootout. That's what happens to those guys. What happened to Myrtle Beach? Well, Myrtle Beach is pretty good, I think. They're not South Florence good. Obviously, their quarterback got knocked out early, concussion last week. Myrtle Beach did, and when you're relying on just your running game with Malachi Washington, South Florence, too many athletes, they can just key on that and take that away from you. So big win for the Bruins. I still think the Seahawks are good and getting better,
a lot.
But they're not quite South Florence top 2, top 3, top 4 4A level right now.
Let's
I missed that
roll
last
3A.
one. Sorry, Drew. I missed that last one. Why did you put it up?
More love for the best team in the state, Northwestern. That's all I want.
Love it.
And it's deserved.
Perfect. Well, let's look down now at the 3A slate, John.
Georgetown will go to Ainer. Beaufort hosting North Charleston. Chapman goes to Blue Ridge. Brooklyn Casey will be at home against Swansea. Carolina goes to Broome. Crestwood at Camden, one of our CONA games of the week. That should be a really fun ball game there. Another CONA game of the week, Chester at Clinton. That will be a really fun ball game too. West Oak goes to Crescent. Dillon hosting Waccamaw. Palmetto is at Fountain Inn. Gilbert hosting Dreer. Marlboro County at Lake City.
That Gilbert-Dreer game, Gilbert undefeated, playing really good football. Dreer, though, took BC to overtime last week. That was kind of surprising for Coach Corey Jenkins' squad. They're getting better. I think Gilbert looks much firepower. Do you want to give a plug for the show? We had an interview with Coach Chad Leapart, came out last night. It's on Facebook and YouTube. Go check that out. He does a great job talking about this year's Gilbert squad, the playmakers they've got, talks about his career. He just became the all-time wins leader at Gilbert this year. So tell us some really cool stories about that. So check that out on our Facebook and our YouTube page, our interview with Coach Chad Leapart of the undefeated Gilbert Indians.
He's got a very exciting team to watch as well. They are very good. Darlington will go to Lakewood. Manning is at Loris.
That's a big game now for Manning after that loss, I think, to Dillon. I think that's for second in that region. Loris has been a team that I was super high on last year. Lost some guys. They've had some flashes this year. But I think they're right there. They've got a chance to win that game. I think Manning a little bit too much firepower for Coach Kennedy there. I like the Monarchs, but that could be a fun ball game on Friday night, too.
I think that'd be another good game, too, and another big game as far as playoff jockeying position goes.
Robert asked about Dillon and Manning last week. Yeah, that was surprising. I think Manning was up, 22-19. Dillon comes back to beat him 47 or 46-22.
47-22.
Put the hammer down late in those guys. I mean, the Wildcats, Coach Roller, it's been their MO where they start out a little bit slow, big second half. Happened again last week. I like what they're doing. I mean, the running game, Murray and Fling, getting him back was huge. I mean, he's a really good running back for them. The quarterback, Oxendine, kind of a dual threat guy, getting better and better. Still not asking him to do a whole lot, really, John, but he gets it done when he has to do it. Like the McCallum kid, like Singletary a lot. The Dillon defense is always nasty. We know that. Big win for those guys to I think to wrap up the region.
Yeah, and for the Manning side of things, I think that was impressive for them to be able to put up the first half that they did. But Dillon has been doing this for the last 2 years against about everybody that they've played.
Yeah.
Hey, you kept it close at halftime. Now watch us take care of business here in the second half.
Jay was at that ball game, so you know better than us, man. Said Manning kept beating themselves. That's interesting to hear there. I thought they had a little bit, an older team or veteran team, maybe that wouldn't happen. When you get in a big moment against a big team like Dillon, things change real quick. You tighten up a little bit, you get a little more shaky, but big win for the Wildcats for sure.
Laura Richland will go to Orangeburg Wilkinson. Daniel is at Pendleton.
Pendleton, a team that's been fun to follow this year. A couple nice wins, beat Seneca, put up a lot of points in that ball game. Daniel's just too strong, man. I don't know when they're going to get tested. Maybe third round of the playoffs. Maybe
second, third round.
I'm saying at least probably third, if not later. They're playing really good football right now. Coach Brewster's squad on both sides of the ball, dominated fashion.
But this probably will be their toughest region game. Pendleton has been a very improved team, and they, as you said, they can put up some points. But yeah, I don't see this game being super close once it comes down to it.
Jay says third round. Yeah, I think that's probably more like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So they would play most likely a 2C. Oh, there's nothing wrong with Pendleton.
Yeah, they can score. Luke
Pendleton
Gray lighting up the scoreboard. Daniel's just too strong.
Yeah, Daniel's just another level. They're another one of these teams in 3A. There's a few teams that are head and shoulders above everybody else, and they're one of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 2,000 yards passing. He's doing a great job right now.
Now, this game, I think, is going to be a very good, very close ball game. That is Wren at Powdersville. Wren, a team we've talked about a little bit, but we've talked about how, wow, boy, they played really good in that game that they lost. This is their chance to play really good in a game that they can win. Powdersville still with a lot of talent, still a really good team. This game is in Powdersville. I think Wren's going to steal this one. I like Wren in this ball game. I think this is their time to play well and actually get a W.
Yeah, Derek, should be a great battle. Wren's got a good defensive line. Obviously, Powdersville, great offensive line. This is a really, really interesting ball game to me, John. A lot of parallels. Powdersville kind of split off from Wren, 10, 12 years ago, whatever it was. Coach Muster, head coach of Powdersville, was a coach at Wren, coming over there now. Powdersville started off kind of slow, lost a couple games by a point. I think Broome and then Abbeville, but we're playing good football. Didn't play great against BHP, but had a chance in that game for a while, but couldn't hang in the second half there. They've got the talent, obviously, with Hudgens and Huggins and Fowler, and obviously Jeffrey's on defense and all those guys there. I like what Coach Muster's done, and playing at home is a big help for them. On the Wren side of things, Colton Bagwell, he's running for 100 and throwing for 100 every week, it feels like, for Coach Freight. We talked to him this offseason when he kind of got hired, and he said that we're a young team. We're going to get better throughout the year. And that's what's happened, especially, if you look, John, at their region or their non-region schedule, they play one of the toughest in the state. They play Hillcrest, they play Burns, play Jefferson out of Georgia. A lot of really, really strong teams there. And what's been impressive about those guys, I think Blake told us on Friday night in our spaces there, I don't think they've lost a 3A game this year, I don't believe. I think they've lost to 4A and 5A teams and teams out of Georgia.
And they've been competitive.
Have not lost to a 3A squad in the state. So really interesting to see how this ball game goes down on Friday night. I like what Wren's doing. Charles says, yeah, getting better. Exactly right. Yeah, you're exactly right there. Powdersville at home, though, is tough. The thing for Wren, if Wren wins this game, they lock up a home game in the playoffs, lock up the second seed at least, and they'll play BHP for the region title next week. Powdersville has to win this game to have a chance to get a home game in the playoffs. So this is big for them here. I honestly don't know where I want to go in this game. I'm going to go with the experience of Powdersville at home in a close one. I'm thinking lots of points, though, John. Powdersville at home in a close one, but this may be one of the more fun games in the state, honestly, on Friday night.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. This is going to be another one of those good
great rivalry game.
ball games.
Great rivalry game.
This is going to be a fun one. We'll have Walhalla going to Seneca. Belton Honey Path goes to Southside.
Another tune-up for those guys. Marquise Henderson, big numbers each and every week. Doesn't have to carry the ball a whole lot. He's staying fresh. I love that. They'll have a big one with Wren next week, but the Bears, man, are playing great both sides of the ball.
Yeah, Courtney, this has been a season for your Bears where, man, it's let's pad the stat line the first quarter, second quarter, and then let's let some of the young kids get some experience. I'm ready to see BHB get in the playoffs so they can, let's see if they can have a game that goes into the fourth quarter. That I'm excited about that.
Yep.
That's a really, really lethal Bears team this year. They certainly are. And then the last game to close out 3A is Emerald going to Union.
One more, I think Hanahan, Philip Simmons. I think you might have missed that one, John.
I did.
That's a fun game there. Philip Simmons, Jarrell Sullivan firsthand a couple weeks ago. Really run heavy, really physical on both sides of the ball. I think they're undefeated, may have one loss. I mean, they're playing great right now for Coach Bendick. Hanahan, they've got a big running back of their own. Kayvon Rivera, one of our players of the week earlier in the year. He can really get it done on the ground there for Coach Turner's squad. Quarterback last week for them, Hippensteel, I think was 12 of 12 or whatever, 15-15, whatever it was. Didn't throw an incomplete pass. They're getting better. If they can get into kind of a grinded out game, Philip Simmons could keep it close here. I think the Iron Horses are probably a little bit better right now, a little more seasoned there with those two running backs I got, Asbury and those guys. I like Philip Simmons to win this ball game. They've been a fun team to follow this year, but could be a close one there.
Yeah, I think Philip Simmons wins this ball game too. They're going to be another fun team to watch in November as well.
Perfect. Drill, any comments on 3A? We got Chris at Emerald Union will be an interesting game. It could be. Emerald's been –
It's awfully nice of you to say, Claire.
Emerald's played a lot of close games, haven't won a lot of close games. They're playing a lot of close games. Union has been not in many close games. I think Emerald wins this one. I don't think either team is that great, but I think the Vikings do win. Daniel, about at least 5 touchdowns, says Hunter. Yeah, I mean, it certainly could be. I mean, it's kind of been whatever they want to name their score to be the last few weeks for sure.
Jay, it certainly does.
Yeah, they won
typically do
back-to-back and obviously lost last year. Robert says, man, had the Wildcats, we got it done. They certainly did. Dion says, Overton by 28. Their team is starting to get a little better, it feels like there. Of course, Manny had a lot of mistakes. Yeah, that's what we've been heard in this show. Didn't get to see it, but that's interesting to hear about that ball game. Matt's taking Chester over Clinton. That should be a fun ball game. One of our CONA games of the week. Matt, if you missed this, but you get in the show, go check that out. Gilbert fooling a lot of people around the state, says Omar. I tell you what, I think they're pretty good, but if you check our poll here in a few weeks or a few minutes, actually, you'll see how we feel about Gilbert. But they are a good football team. But we'll see what happens in the 3A playoffs because there's a lot of really good teams in 3A. Dion says Gilbert by 21. Can Carolina beat Broome, Chris? I don't think so. Broome's a good football team. They took Spartanburg to the wire earlier this year. They beat a good Powdersville team. Carolina doesn't really have the talent that a Broome does, I would say. I think Centurions are playing great football right now. They're a team to watch out for in the playoffs with Jalen McGill for sure.
No, they can't.
Brian says, Timberland quarterback had 6 touchdown passes against Academic Magnet. A big game for him. They played great the last couple of weeks. We'll get to them here in the 2A slate in a second. Matt said, I'd like to see Union win, but a tough season. Yeah, they have not been getting it done the last couple of years, Matt. I would love to see them get better, but we'll see. Greg says Emerald with the win.
Let's go to 2A, guys.
Looking down now at 2A, a great class this year, John. As always, always very competitive. Great slate again here in 2A.
Yeah, we'll start with Andrews hosting Lee Central. Oceanside will go to Bishop England.
Lee Central Andrews, big game for seeding in that playoff bracket there with Marion. Marion's going to win that region. It comes down to Lee Central Andrews and King Street now for that second seed. I think the winner of this probably gets it. So big game there.
And those 3 pretty good teams too.
Yeah.
Abbeville will go to Blacksburg. Sherrall is at Beaufort.
The Panthers, man, I feel like we haven't talked a lot about them lately because they haven't played a lot of tough competition. This is the time of the year where they start to get it figured out, it feels like. Early in the year, they won a couple games. They lost a couple games. We're having a hard time putting a full game together, it felt like, offensively and defensively, in two halves especially almost. I think this is a good spot for them to win this ball game or Blacksburg. I like Coach Nichols' squad to win this one pretty easily.
Yeah, I think the Panthers will be right where they need to be come playoff time when it's really go time and the stakes get higher. We'll see Chesterfield go to Central at Pageland. Newberry goes to Columbia. Fairfield Central at Eau Claire. Edisto hosting Bethune-Bowman. Saluda goes to Fox Creek.
Off of that big win last week, the Tigers get up off the mat. 2 weeks ago, Drill and I saw them play Strom Thurmond. I thought they were dead for the year. They come back, score late, go for two, get it to beat Silver Bluff. Huge win for Coach Young's squad. I think they win again easily this week.
Yeah, that was an impressive response for the Tigers to be able to come back and you play two super tough games in a row, games that are going to take a lot of emotion out of you, and pretty impressive to see them come back and play with some heart against Silver Bluff. And hey, one game doesn't define your season. Come back out there and that's a hats off to that coaching squad too to get those kids in the right mind frame. We have Academic Magnet goes to Lake Marion, Liberty hosting Landrum, Keenan goes to Mid Carolina, Mullins hosting Kingstree, 96 at home against Chesney.
Could be a good ball game there. 96, one loss on the year, playing really good for Coach Bennett. Chesney, also a team that's playing pretty solid, getting a few wins here and there. I think 96 continues to run. I think they win that game at home.
I think so too, being at home. Andrew Jackson goes to North Central. North Central, a tough team to figure out this year. They've had some good games, had some really bad games. AJ not as good as I thought they would be this year, but they're still a pretty tough opponent. Batesburg, Leesville go to Pelion. Edisto is at Ridgeland, Hardyville.
Yeah, Chris says Batesburg, Leesville, Saluda, and Bluff could be tied after the second this week if the things fall the right way. We'll see what happens. But they are playing better. They've been playing better this year. The Panthers have. I think they should beat Pelion.
And not sure how that tiebreaker will work out.
Yeah, I'm working on figuring that out. I've got a couple of texts out to some coaches to figure out what the situation is there in that region.
Speaking of that region, Silver Bluff will be at Strom Thurmond. That is a huge big game. Hector, you're right. I mean, if we pick 5, that might be number 5.
I tell you what, in our preliminary games of the week we had about last week, getting ready for this week, if Silver Bluff had won that game, it was going to be a game of the week. But the fact they lost to Saluda, that kind of knocked it down off the games of the week. But certainly still a big ball game, of course. Strom Thurmond can wrap up the region. Yes, get us a Strom Thurmond hat. I'd love to put it back there, man. We would certainly do it. Yeah, Strom Thurmond can wrap up the region with a win. Silver Bluff has to have this ball game now, to get that second seed. That was very surprising the way they lost to Saluda last week. And we talked to Bulldog Brooks on our spaces there. He talked about the same issue that Drill and I saw earlier in the year against Midland Valley is the quarterback play. They're struggling there, not really getting it done through the air. They've got a decent running game, but just the quarterback is not helping them out right now. He's a good athlete. He's got to figure out a way to maybe play more to his strengths. I don't know, because that defense is so lights out with Jordan Boyd and Jaden Easton and Jaden Fuller. Maybe the best defensive front in all of 2A. They've got a lot of studs there all across the field on defense, but a lot of good players there. I like the Grant kid as a playmaker on offense, but they got some players Silver Bluff does. But Strom Thurmond, though, man, they're playing such good football right now. Quan Edmond at quarterback is a stud. Braylon Staley, obviously the Tennessee commit, 4-star guy. He's a weapon outside. Tolan outside's a good player. I mean, they got so many guys they can throw the ball to. Chris Barnes running the ball is a stud. I like what they do offensively. Coach Webb maybe is a little bit more trying to think what the right way to say this, but he gets a little, maybe fancier and more, next level with creative. Yes, with his stuff on offense, and some guys do it 2A. I think that gives him a big edge. He's doing a great job with that offense, and the defense has been tough all year long. I think Strom Thurmond wins again, but I'm thinking it might be a 28-14, 28-20 type ball game. Again, kind of close, but I like the Rebels to win.
Yeah, I think this is a game. I think this is a game in the fourth quarter.
Dion says big, 35-7. It might happen. I don't know. I think that Silver Bluff defense is a little too tough, but we'll see. Jay says 45-7. Okay.
I think Silver Bluff's going to make them earn it. I think Strom Thurmond wins this game, but I think Silver Bluff's going to come to play. I think it'll be a fourth quarter game. And you talk about Coach Webb being creative on offense. For those of you that have not seen Strom Thurmond, don't get it twisted. They're not. They don't look like a bunch of little guys just flying around the field. They are big and they are very physical as well. Edmond himself is a big kid, player, not afraid to get hit, not afraid to deliver a hit with the football. They are a very fun team to watch. They are very talented outside, but they're also very physical and very big as well. And that's what makes them so doggone good and so tough.
Yeah, the Peachfield's tough place to play. Great place for a ball game. Check it in. Kevin and John get love. We appreciate you, my man. Great spot down there. Had a great time in the game a couple weeks ago for sure.
And then to close it out, this is a big game here too. Barnwell goes to Woodland. Woodland trying to get off the mat after getting blown out by Hampton County last week.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be able to do it.
I don't know what to say.
I think Barnwell is going to be able to win this game.
About Woodland. I cannot believe they got beat that badly last week, John.
Yeah, me either.
I was telling Drell in our recap show on Sunday, I'm hard pressed to think of a time where we had two teams that, I think Woodland was undefeated going into that ball game.
They were?
Yeah, they were 6-0. That late in the season where you think it should be a good ball game and just get blown the doors off of, man. That was, non-competitive from the start. Huge win for Hampton County. Woodland on the other side really worries me now. You wonder if they just kind of stacked wins against nobody. I don't know. Barnwell's getting better. Like I said, Jaquan Peoples helping them out, give some weapons in the run game, along with Cam Austin. I like what Coach Smith's doing. That team's getting better and better. If you're going to beat Woodland, I think this is the week to do it. They got to be hurting a little bit for their pride. I'm going to take Barnwell in a close one on the road, but will be an interesting ball game there in 2A.
I think so too. I think this is the best time to get to Woodland as well. Darius, I tell you, I'm interested in that game. I don't think Gray's going to be very competitive in this game, honestly. I was looking the other day. If you go by rivals, I think IMG has 10 four-star guys on their roster. I mean, that's half your starting lineup. It is four-star talent. That's tough for anybody to compete with. But with that said, I'm impressed with Gray that they're putting the game on the schedule, and I'm very excited they're doing it. And I hope that that trend continues. I hope South Carolina plays more schools like IMG and we get close to them. And hey, Corey, that could happen. I don't think it'll be 90, but the fact that they're playing the game, I applaud Coach Holmes and the Gray staff to put that together. And it's going to be great for the kids at Gray.
Yeah.
This is going to be a game. You talk about, the smaller colleges in the States when they play Clemson and Carolina, it's a big deal for them. Well, this is a similar kind of situation. These kids at Gray, they're going to be able to say years down the road, hey, man, that guy playing on Sundays, I played against him in high school. Because some of these kids, they're probably going to play in the NFL. And a ton of them, if not almost all of them, are going to play FBS level college football on Saturdays. So it's going to be cool for those kids to be able to have that experience to play against them.
Yes, that'll be Gray Collegiate at IMG Academy on Thursday night down in Florida. Then next year, John, IMG will come to Gray early in the year. So that'll be a fun game as well. Yeah, I think IMG, probably obviously more talent than Gray. You got to lean there, especially, at home, I guess, and that stuff. It's a long road trip to get down there for sure for Gray. But I like that they're playing the game. Like you said, I'm glad they can find games. They can kind of stay sharp for the playoffs. I think Gray can put up a fight, can hang tough for a quarter, 2 quarters. We'll see. But yeah, you think at some point IMG's got too much talent and they're just going to wear them out. But it should be an interesting ball game. Glad to see it on the schedule. Love to see these South Carolina teams playing these out-of-state guys. I'm always going to pull for them no matter who they are playing, no matter what state. Always going to pull for them. Yeah, it's I guess private school. It's a football academy, almost is the way to say it.
I guess
it's a sports academy. Like they do everything.
Academy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they have kids from all over the country come in. They have boarding rooms there and stuff like that, Kurt. So people move there to play football
they
and
are
stuff
able
like
to
that.
recruit, and they certainly do. They are kids from South Carolina leave to go to IMG to and really it's guys that are planning on playing on Saturdays and want to hone their skills a little bit better. Guys don't go to IMG to get recruited. They're already being recruited. They're going to get a little bit sharper.
Quarterback for IMG, former Chapin quarterback, Jaden Bradford. So you see a familiar face there in that ball game.
There you go.
Awesome. Got some more comments for you guys.
Bossman says Thurman by 21. Certainly could happen. Terrence says Zion Dobson, 5 touchdowns first half. Yeah, he's a stud.
Awesome.
One of our players of the week early in the year having a great season for the Hurricanes. Bossman says Woodland by 14. Robert said he hopes Barnwell wins this one.
I think they do.
Chris says, from what do you understand is tiebreaker, if it's Batesburg-Leesville, Saluda, and Silver Bluff, Batesburg-Leesville, if they win by 7 next week, they will finish second. So it must be some type of point situation, guys. We'll try to figure that out and get a post about that Alex is finding out. Yeah, Blue Steel, Tay, that defense is playing great right now. They certainly are.
I like it.
That's all we got right now.
Perfect. I saw some IMG Gray comments blowing up the chat. Yeah, that's a big point of contention for everybody. I don't know what to make of that. I'm glad they're playing a game. Will they win the game? Probably not.
Hey, Gray would love to play in state.
Sorry, we got Greg. Got some Abbeville love in here.
Abbeville lost 50, lost 1. Yeah, lost to West Side. I think it's their only loss right now. I think they're playing great ball. They should beat Blacksburg pretty handily, I believe, this week.
And then Jay had a question for you guys.
We'll be at the state title games. Yeah. Yes. We're still waiting to see what the schedule is going to be as far as what games on Thursday, what Friday, what Saturday. I don't think that's been announced quite yet. But, yeah, we plan on being down there at Orangeburg for that. It should be a fun weekend of champions.
Let's go to 1A, guys.
Looking down at the 1A slate.
We'll have Bamberg Earhart at Allendale Fairfax.
Bamberg playing really good football. They had the one hiccup earlier in the year. To Denmark Olar played great besides that. Allendale Fairfax, I thought they were getting better. I think it won 4 in a row for last week. Tough loss in that ball game. I think the Red Raiders win this one.
And Allendale Fairfax, they're just playing some good competition. I think they're still a good team. They're just not quite that high level like Bamberg is right now.
Yep.
Whale Branch, we'll go to Branchville, try to keep their undefeated
Whale Branch
season
playing
going.
great football right now. The Chisholm kid for them is a stud. Branchville's had a couple nice weeks this year here and there. Not quite on the same level as the Warriors, I don't think.
Big time. This is probably the game of the week for 1A. St. Joseph's going to Christchurch. Big time ball game for these two for that region as well. Kind of the private school region for 1A.
Yeah, St. Joe's has to have this game. They already lost to Southside Christian early in the year. They've got to win this and have a chance to win the region there. Christchurch, hadn't really talked much about them since early in the year. They played, Gray Collegiate early, I think Asheville early in the game as well, or early in the year as well, excuse me. Haven't played a lot of tough competition since then. Not their fault. Just haven't. Deshaun Reeder, heck of a running back, one of the best in the state. Shrine Bowl guy there. I think Christchurch wins this ball game at home. Should be a fun one on Friday night over at Christchurch.
I agree. I like Reeder and Christchurch in that ball game too. Baptist Hill will go to Cross. Wagner Sally is at Denmark Olar. Carter's Bay will go to East Clarendon. Bethune-Bowman at Edisto. Green Sea Floyds will go to Hannah Pamplico. Big game here, Lamar going to Lakeview. Boy, that has become a really fun region this year with how Latta has come on the scene and been so good this year.
Yeah, Lamar going to wrap up the region title if they win this ball game. So that's what they're shooting for Coach Burris, first-year head coach Stephen Burris there. Lakeview, tough loss last week, especially when you have a multi-score lead over your rival, you give it up, and you still get a chance late. You get stuffed on 3rd and short and 4th and short to lose that game to Latta. Tough one there for Lakeview. I think Lamar, once they got Zori Pierce back at quarterback, one of our players of the week, and then once they started playing 1A schools again, they really turned it on. They're playing great football right now.
Yeah, they're back to Lamar football again.
Yep.
Whitmire will be at Louisville.
Thursday night game there. Louisville week off last week.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. They're going to bounce back. I like Whitmire. I like what Coach Campbell's doing. Louisville, too good of a football team, man. It's going to be a name your score type deal. Yeah, they've been in the healing chamber. I love it. 2 weeks off. That's why they had a game canceled, against Great Falls. So they are well rested, very fresh, the Lions will be.
Yeah, they're going to be ready to play. I'm sure they probably play tomorrow if they could.
Yeah.
Great Falls will be at McBee.
Not anymore. Great Falls done for the year.
That's right.
McBee looking for a game. Don't have one yet, I don't think. So we'll see what happens.
Calhoun Falls will go to McCormick. Calhoun County at Rich Spring Minetta.
That Calhoun Falls McCormick game is Saturday night as well, by the way. Okay. I think I said that earlier, but that is a Saturday night ball game.
Hemingway will go to Scotch Branch.
Hemingway on the search for double-digit points still, sitting on 8 for the season. I love to see him get a touchdown, but I don't know. It's bad, John. We're week 9. You got 8 points. You got more weeks than points in the season.
That's tough. That's tough.
I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do.
Empty out everything you got. Trick plays, whatever.
Yeah.
Military Magnet will be at St. John's. Southside Christian goes to Ware Shoals, and Williston Elko will host Blackville Hilda.
On a Wednesday night, that ball game is there. Yeah, Blackville Hilda should win that one easily. I like that ball game there. Drill 1A comments. Leo says thoughts on Lawrence and Eastside. Lawrence is, like we said earlier, has played well, won 2 games in a row, have a chance to win the region now all of a sudden. Eastside lost to Riverside last week. I like Calvin Banks a lot, one of our players of the week there for the Eagles. I think Lawrence is on a heater right now. I think they win this ball game too.
I'm going to go Eastside being at home, but Lawrence is playing much better football. If Lawrence wins Friday, I'm really not going to know what to think about them.
Yeah, we were writing them for dead, leaving them for dead early in the year.
you look at Lawrence, they're 2-7. Both of those wins in region.
Courtney says if Wren loses Friday, does BHP win the region title? Well, I think if Wren loses Friday and then they beat BHP, there'd be a 3-way tie between them and Powdersville and BHP. Not sure what the tiebreaker is there, Courtney, for sure. So I think that's how that situation will work out. Chris says Blacksburg will be a force to reckon with in about 5 years. I'll tell you what, they're getting better. I like the coach there. The quarterback has been really good. Josh Sims, one of our players of the week this year. I think Cobb, is a tight end's name. He's been a good player as well for them. They are getting better for sure, the Wildcats are. Crush Church and double OT. Okay, I like it, Chris. I tell you what.
Where are the odds on that one?
They start to play some tight games, those 3 private schools doing the 1A ranks. That will be a fun one. Hunter says 3A on Saturday. Okay, I need to check out the brackets. Yeah, I may have missed that. 3A on Saturday. That may be the best one of them all, but we'll see. Julie says go Lions. Yeah, I'm sure you guys are itching to play after 2 weeks off Louisville. I think big win coming this Thursday night now.
And a question to get into SCISA.
Perfect. What are our thoughts on Jefferson Davis and Faith Christian? I think those are 2 of our top 5 teams in SCISA right now, John. Jefferson Davis is really a powerhouse. And, hey, man, they're playing great football right now. I think they win again, play great football all year. I'm looking forward to seeing them and Holly Hill and Richard win in the playoffs. That'll be a fun 8-man football playoff there in the SCISA ranks. But anything else before we look at these SCISA games here?
And another SCISA game to highlight as we go into that.
Yeah, big competition. Richard Wynn and Wardlaw. Yes, that is a big one for sure. Wardlaw playing good football, almost our SCISA game of the week this week, but we'll break that one down here in a second. We've got King Academy at Community Christian Academy, King's Academy at Cross Episcopal. Both teams looking for their first win. Kings 0-8, Cross 0-9. So somebody's getting off the snide this week.
Celebrate it.
Palmetto Christian at Northside Christian. Another game we consider for our SCISA game of the week. That's Thomas Hayward at Pinewood Prep. Thomas Hayward playing really good lately. Had the big win over Beaufort last week. Coach Holland at Pinewood Prep is playing fantastic football, blowing everybody out lately.
A lot better.
I think they win this game as well. I like how big and physical they are. I like the Panthers a lot in 3A now after what we'll talk about here in a little what happened to Wilson Hall last week. I like Pinewood Prep and Coach Holland's squad this week. Spartanburg Christian at Greenwood Christian. Lawrence Manning at Orangeburg Prep. The Swamp Cats continue to play good football. Had the big win a couple weeks ago over Porter Goud. They beat a Lake City team early in the year. They're a good football team there under Coach First. Hilton Head Prep and Trinity Collegiate. Actually, I saw that was canceled. Trinity Collegiate will win that one by a forfeit. Lee Academy hosting Carolina Academy. The Cavaliers 6-2. They're playing good football. Carolina played tight with Colleton Prep last week. I told that earlier. I don't think they're quite on the same level as the Cavs. I think Coach Rankin's squad wins that one. Northwood Academy going to PD Academy. The Golden Eagles need a win bad. Have not played great football the last few weeks. Got shut out last week by Hilton Head Christian. Coach King's squad, they get up off the mat. They play tight in this one. Can they win it? I don't know. But a good ball game there at the lawn. First Baptist traveling to Florence Christian. Florence Christian only 4-4, but maybe the biggest upset of the weekend SCISA last week, knocking off Wilson Hall, who we had at number 1 in 3A. Big win for Coach Benton's squad. They were down 14-0 to come back to win that game. Big game for Jules Huntley. Thomas Sumter at Williamsburg. Clarendon Hall at Calhoun. Holy Trinity at Holly Hill. Beaufort Academy at Colleton Prep. Our SCISA game of the week. Broke that down earlier. Check that one out at the beginning of the show. Ben Lippin at Augusta Christian. Wilson Hall at Heathwood Hall. This game is big because Wilson Hall, we had number 1 in 3A going into this week. Last week on their second drive, they're driving in to go at 14-0 Florence Christian. Senior quarterback injury, out for the year. Wilson Hall's fortunes changed on a dime just like that. Florence Christian comes back to win that ball game last week. Heathwood Hall has not been very good this year. I think Wilson Hall wins this one, but they've got to figure out the quarterback spot now since they lost their guy last week. Another big SCISA game, 4A, Porter Goud at Cardinal Newman. Cardinal Newman, their one loss to Hammond. Porter Goud played really well early in the year, had the weird loss to Lawrence Manning a couple weeks ago. I think Corey Helms and the Cardinals get a big win here. Mitchell asked about this one. Jefferson Davis at Faith Christian, 8-1 JDA at 6-3 Faith Christian. I like Jefferson Davis. They're playing good football right now. I think they're one of the favorites in the 8-man playoffs. Dorchester at St. John's Christian. Newberry at Lawrence. They Richard Wynn at Wardlaw. Richard Wynn 6-1. Wardlaw 6-2. We mentioned him every week, John, on our recap show. Player of the Week nominee, Drew Spires, all over the field. One of the better players in SCISA, one of the better players in the state. I think the Eagles win this game on the road. Wardlaw's a good team, but I don't think they're on the level of, like I said, Richard Wynn, JDA, and Holly Hill. I think Richard Wynn wins this ball game. Any other SCISA comments straight before we go on to the next part of the program?
Yeah, let me try to get to this. I got so many today. No specific SCISA comments.
We need to see them all, John or Darrell. Give us all of them.
All right, here we go.
Nathan says Hemingway score. I think Hemingway scored like the first week or two of the season too. They've been on that 8 number for a long, long time.
Maybe that'd be the tiebreaker. If Hemingway scores on you, you get bumped back a seed.
It's been a while. But yes. Let me see what else we got. This is for next week.
Are we coming down for BHP at Rent? Possibly. I'm not sure what else is on the slate. That will certainly be a good one. That is a possibility for sure, Courtney.
And then also we have a couple questions that are related to our poll that we're going to be talking about a little bit later.
Who do we have for 3A Upstate? Who do I have right now, or who did I pick preseason? What do you want to know, Courtney? That could be different. Chris says top 3 teams in 3A Upstate. We will get to that. Great questions there, guys. Drill, any other comments you want to get to?
No, not right now.
Perfect. Well, Drill, let's go shout out to our friends of the program, and then we'll show you guys who we like in each classification.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. Okay, well, as you guys know, we've been doing for the past couple weeks our own poll. We didn't like the ones that come out across the state. We decided to do our own. So, Drill, let's take a look now at our week 9. Is it week 8 or week 9? What are we calling it? Week 9 poll. There we go. 5A. We got Summerville in first. White Knoll moves up to second. Burns at third. TL Hanna at fourth. Gaffney in fifth. Also receiving votes, Hillcrest. The big mover there is you'll see TL Hanna jumps up in the poll a lot. I think White Knoll may have moved up a spot as well this week, John and Drill. 5A has been a tough one for me. I think we say it every week. I feel like everyone has some flaws in 5A. It's tough to see who you really like. We think Summerville is very good. So Ashton Ridge could prove otherwise this week. We'll see, but that's who we like in 5A. John, any 5A comments? Drill, any 5A comments before we move into 4A?
Yeah, it's been a lot of moving around in 5A, and it's good to see. It's all gonna work itself out in the playoffs, but I know it's upstate heavy, but you know what? That's the way it is.
I will say I thought very hard about giving Carolina Forest a vote this week. Big win over Sumter last week. They played Summerville as close as anybody. Week 1, I lost, I think, by 7 to those guys. I think the Panthers are a good football team. I thought about putting them in that 4 or 5 spot. Didn't quite do it, but they're a team to look out for in lower state as well.
Yeah, I just don't know who I would knock out for them.
Yeah, like you said, it's upstate heavy. I like those lower state teams. Like you said, Carolina Forest, Ashley Ridge, Fort D. Those are teams that are very good. I still think Sumter's good. I just don't know how good. They're not top 5 good.
Yeah, we say, though, when it gets cold in the playoffs, defense travels, run game travels. That's what Sumter does.
That's true.
So they can make some noise, but I do worry, like we said all year long, about their explosiveness. I worry about that. If they need a big play, where do they go for it? But they are a good football team. Looking now at 4A. Northwestern stays first in our 4A poll. All 3 first-place votes. South Florence second. James Island third. Irmo fourth. Midland Valley fifth. 4A is one that I think that I've said this a couple times, and I may be wrong about it. I don't know. I think Northwestern may be in a class by themselves, and then South Florence kind of step behind them, and then it might be James Island, Irmo after that. It's going to be tough to see in the playoffs how these teams match up. But 4A, I think, is really, really strong at the top for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a solid 5. If we looked past that, I think there's a lot of teams that are not far off of that. You talk about we got talking about it at West Side on Friday. Hey, when you going to put West Side in the top 5? West Side, they're right there. They're a very, very good team as well. There's some good teams. Lucy Beckham, they're undefeated. Yep. Who knows how good they really are? Myrtle Beach playing really good football right now as well.
Well, for me,
Clarksville is good.
North Augusta has been on fire lately. I feel like they'll get their chance against Midland Valley next week to really prove how good they are. They're another team I think you have to look out for.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one more, Greenville. If they get
Greenville,
healthy,
they got the talent for sure. For sure.
That's another one. We can't just keep counting those out. But I think you're right. I think there's a gap between the top 2. I think South Florence might be closing that gap a little bit. They've really been impressive the last few weeks. So
we say that, and then Northwestern wins by 60 this week, and we'll change.
And they're just set up. They're set up so similar. They're both so well coached. They're both physical. They're big, and they don't they don't shoot themselves in the foot. We talk about, was it South Florence scored defensive or a non-offensive touchdown in every game?
Except for last week, so I finally didn't get one. But yeah,
they do everything
strong.
very, very well.
Pretty strong.
Both of them.
Looking down at 3A now, 2A tie for first, split first place votes, BHP and Daniel. Third is Dylan, also tied for third, Philip Simmons. Fifth, Crestwood, also receiving votes, Broome and Chapman. 3A is tough, man. It's very, very deep. We could have had some more teams in there as well, but that'll be fun. So if you guys have the questions, as you'll see, our top three upper state in 3A, we've got BHP, Daniel.
We don't have one.
What's that?
We don't have it because we got.
I guess either Broome or Chapman for that third spot right now.
It's Chapman for me, but Broome's really good too.
Yeah, things could change with that Clinton Chester game as well this week. We'll see how that shakes out on Friday night. But
Clinton too.
Yeah, I got BHP and Daniel 1A, 1B, and then I got BHP ranked first though. I love that backfield, man. They're so good. And I got Broome in mind, man. I like Jalen McGill a lot. I saw a comment. I think Chris was like, South Carolina's going to steal him with an offer after the year. That'd be pretty funny to see.
Love it. Looking down now at 2A drill. Gray Collegiate still in first. Second place now, Strom Thurmond made a big jump in our poll the last couple weeks. Oceanside Collegiate at third. Hampton County back in. They're at fourth. Fifth, Abbeville, also streaming votes, Marion. 2A is another one that was kind of tough for me on that back end because I really wanted to rank probably 7 teams, I would say. I was like, man, who do I take in? What do I move around? Summerville's Tampa team I thought about, even after they lost last week. 2A is really good. I'm still high on Marion. They've been playing really good football, and it's like, I think we had moved them and Hampton County kind of down in the poll, not because they're doing anything wrong. So the teams are having maybe bigger wins, but 2A is going to be a lot of fun here these next couple weeks.
And I think 2A is Gray and Oceanside. Gray's hard to judge because they haven't played a ton of in-state teams this year. Oceanside's a little bit different because they're down in the Low Country, and
that region is
the region doesn't help them out.
Yeah,
and then you got Abbeville is very, very good. Strom Thurmond is high power, ton of talent. Hampton County had one of the most impressive wins last week. I mean, it's going to be really fun when we get into November in the playoffs with 2A to see how all this shakes out. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, looking down at 1A now, Louisville still in first place. A tie for second. Bamberg Earhart, Southside Christian, fourth, Christchurch, fifth, Whale Branch. Also getting a vote, Calhoun County. 1A, I think it's been Louisville all year long, but they've been rolling since that Oceanside loss there in week 0. Obviously, we think that Southside Christian or Christchurch, even St. Joe's, one of those guys is going to have something to say about that. That'll be a great upper state playoff game here in a few weeks. And I like Bamberg a lot in Lower State. Well, Branch we haven't talked a ton about, but they continue to roll and just dominate everyone. A team that I looked hard at and couldn't quite pull the trigger on for me was Lamar. They're getting better and better, like I said, playing really good football right now. Latta, a team that had a big win last week, you had to look at them as a possibility of ranking them as well. But with 5 spots, we couldn't go but so deep there. But 1A is going to be a fun playoff situation.
Hunter, Ken, or Tyler? Let's keep in mind.
Yeah, HKT.
These guys are 7-1.
Cross is a team that's playing good. I still like Blackfield Hilda. Drew, I don't know if we couldn't hear you there. I don't know if you're talking or not, Drew. I didn't hear you there. But we'll be.
Sorry, I was muted. That's what I was going to say. Cross as well. Lakeview, Blackfield Hilda, great teams.
Perfect. Looking at our quick SCISA polls here, Drill. 4A, Hammond, Carter Newman, Lawrence, Manny Lip, and Porter Gowd. A couple big matchups here. We got Carter Newman, Porter Gowd this week. See how that one goes there. 3A, Hilton Head Christian, Pinewood, Florence Christian jumps up. Wilson Hall takes a step back. Northwood there in that 5 spot. 3A had the big shakeup this week with Wilson Hall falling and Florence Christian really making a big jump there. Looking now at 2A, Williamsburg still in first. Beaufort, Bethesda, Colin Prep, Greenwood Christian. We got Beaufort and Colin Prep, a 2 and a 4 going at it this week. 1A, Thomas Hayward, Dorchester, Patrick Henry, Lee, and Clarendon Hall. I think that 1A at the top is really, really strong there. All 3 of those teams are pretty good. 8-man, Jefferson Davis in the first spot. Holly Hill second. Richard Wynn third. Wardlaw fourth. Faith Christian fifth. We get a 1-5 matchup and a 3-4 matchup in 8-man this week, John. Will be a lot of fun in the SCISA ranks. Drill, I'm sure we got some comments on our polls, man. Anything we need to go through here from the crowd?
Let's see. I got a toggle screen, so let's see what we got. Obviously got a Let's Go Rebs here.
Yeah, so let's go. Thurman, yeah, they have moved up in our poll. They've looked really good lately. Travis says BHP unbelievable backfield. He would say defense. Daniel plays better defense. Yeah, I think so too, Travis. That's where kind of my thought on Daniel right now. I like their defense more than BHP's for sure. But that'll be a great matchup here. Bradley says, I agree. Daniel's just mind blowing. Yeah, they don't play close games. They don't. They just blow everybody. They're like similar to Northwestern, kind of. They're just blowing everybody out. Of course, says, come on, guys. Swamp Fox is coming on the show to vote. Hey, I put Marion in the top 5, Corey. I did. I'm high on those guys. They've been a lot of fun to follow. Kurt says, next week, let's hear your sleeps for the playoffs. Yeah, so Kurt, we'll probably do a playoff preview show, I guess, after next week, after the regular season wraps up. We'll have our playoff preview show. We'll talk about, obviously, that round 1 games as well as some deep sleepers to talk about. So we'll go through that. Brothers, Gatlin top 5, so I'm going to backlash. No, I think Gatlin's really good. They may be the best team in the state. I mean, they've got enough talent to do it. We'll see what happens next week against Burns. That'd be a huge.
Bradley, I think we get backlash if they're number 1.
That's true. We got one guy complaining last week that we didn't have him higher, and then Chris saying we should take him out. I don't know what to do anymore, Gaffney. Curtis says playoffs can't get there fast enough. You're exactly right, Curtis. And what's great about these last couple weeks, we got a lot of playoff type games where guys got to win the region, got to win to get in. A lot of fun. Second round, Louisville St. Joe's. They're just calling it now. That'd be a fun match. I like the lines in that one, but we'll be fun over in Richburg. Curtis says Crestwood Dillon, great matchup. Yes, it certainly would be.
That might happen.
Certainly would be. I'm trying to remember, Jarrell. I know we talked to Coach Sleepart the other day. The Crestwood Camden region, they match up with that Dillon region, right? Or no, they don't match up with the Dillon region. Do you remember?
I don't think so. I don't think they match up with them, but I'll go and look and try to figure that one out.
T says hot take, Woodmont gets in the 5A playoffs. Yeah, I think so too. I think Woodmont will probably get that 3 or 4 seed there, and I think probably the 4 in that region. They've got an offense, so they can make some noise for sure with Sink and Williams and those guys there. Ryan says big game at Zimp. Certainly, I think we're both taking Crestwood, which is probably Crestwood, a surprise to most folks, but we had a fun ball game there over at Camden.
I think that's all the Bulldogs. I think that's all the comments pertaining to our poll for the week. Let's go ahead and take a look at our Pick'em contest.
Let's do a Pick'em contest brought to you by Hannah Engineering. Coming down to the wire here, our Week 8 winners. We had, 9 folks tied with 9. Big scores across the board. Then 21 tied with 8. John and Drill 9. I had 7. Bad week for myself. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Sorry about it there.
7's not bad.
Not bad. Then our overall leader, Chase, has a 2-game lead right now, John. Hit it in the last 2 weeks of the season at 68. We got Brad and Dale at 66, Peyton at 65, Andrew at 64, Coach T and Carl at 63, and so forth. Drill and I have both at 63. John, you're at 61. A couple weeks left. Anything could happen. You get that drop score in there. Who knows what might shake out, but that's brought to you, as always, by Hannah Engineering. Check them out, hannahengineering.com. Great friends of the program there. If you guys have not been doing that, make sure you do that. Make sure you join us. Will be a lot of fun, and we'll do a playoff one as well. Yeah. We'll start a new one here for the playoffs here in a couple weeks. Definitely check that out. It's on our social media page on our website. Join that and be a part of our Pick'em contest. Drew, any comments on the Pick'em?
Let's see what I got. Let's see. Questions. So we got some confirmation here.
Okay, Ryan, so the matchup with Region 8. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I've not dove too deep into the playoff brackets yet. Antoine says, how does playoff regions work versus other regions? Is there a certain bracket you're looking at, Antoine? Because it depends on the different class. They match up with certain ones. All the brackets are posted on SCHSL, their website right now. You can check those out and check out the playoff brackets for all. Mark's ready for the playoffs. Me too, man. It felt a little bit cooler this weekend. I feel like it's really getting into football weather now, man. Playoffs are right around the corner. Going to be a lot of fun in all 5 classes. Region 1 versus Region 2. No, not necessarily. It could be Region 1 versus 4 or 1 versus 3. It depends on the year and how they bracket it. So certainly could be any type of matchup there. I don't have it in front of me right now. Like I said, those are on the SCHSL website. Zach's giving you a chance to reconsider your Clinton Chester pick there, John.
Well, I'm not betting money on it, Zach. That's how confident I feel in it.
Love it. Courtney's ready to playoffs. Yeah, BHP. And they've got a playoff game next week for that region title, probably against Wren. That will be a fun one to see how that goes down for sure.
Appreciate that, Corey.
Appreciate you tuning in as always, Corey. Man, a lot of fun. Looking forward to following your Swamp Foxes here in the playoffs. They're going to be a fun team in Lower State 2A.
So if you talk about Region 6 matching up with Region 8, you could potentially have a first-round game, Beaufort at Camden.
That would be
a pretty spicy first-round game.
A fun matchup. I do want to shout out our players of the week brought to you by the Georgia Agency, Lincoln Iyunga at White Knoll, Jules Huntley at Florence Christian, and Zori Pierce at Lamar. All three had huge games last week. If you guys, like I said, if you see somebody with a big stat line, send it to us on Facebook, Twitter, email, whatever. Love to get it from you guys. Love to give those guys a shout out on the program. Drill's popping the thing up right now. Merch. Get your merch from the MTC boys. We got hats. We got toboggans. It's getting cold out there. Get something to protect your head. We got hoodies as well. A lot of good stuff for you guys. Gray hoodies, white hoodies, or I guess light, whatever you want to call it. Very good hoodies. Very quality. Richardson hats. Some of the best in the business. I mean, a lot of really good stuff. Check us out. It's on our social media pages, mtcgear.sc@gmail.com to check that out. Love to have you guys sporting some MTC gear and wearing it to games across the state each and every week. As always, appreciate you guys tuning in. Check us out here on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. Website, movinchains.com. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. John and I do our weekly preview show, 7 o'clock on Tuesdays, Facebook and YouTube live. We do a recap show, comes out on Sundays on the podcast platforms. We do a Twitter/X Spaces, basically a scoreboard show on Friday nights. It's a lot of fun about 10:30, 11. Go through all the scores across the state. We have players and coaches and play-by-play guys hop in. Really fun to talk about your team. Love to have you guys join us for that. John, any other comments on this week going into week 9? Obviously, a lot of big games you saw from our CONA games of the week. Should be another outstanding week of football.
Yeah, some really good football games. And I also want to say thank you to everybody that has already bought some merchandise.
Yes.
Love that. Love the appreciation, support there. Trying to grow as big as we can, right? And get some advertising at games with some hats and shirts.
For sure. Drill, any other comments from the viewers? Any comments from you as well before we wrap up here?
My biggest thing, man, I got to agree with Bradley here. This is going by so fast, dude. We're week 9.
I cannot believe it's week 9. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Unreal.
No, he's got a lot of love. I want to thank, Kurt, Bradley,
Next week,
everybody else.
we'll see, Courtney. We'll see how this week's go first. Then we'll see.
But I want to thank Kurt, Bradley, everybody else who's, got some kind words in the chat. We appreciate everybody tuning in each and every week.
Sure. I mean, if we got on here and we had one viewer each week, I tell you what, we might still do it because it's fun to do. But it makes it a lot easier when we know we got people who want to talk to us and comment.
It makes it way more fun.
It's a lot easier for sure. And it makes the show easier when you guys have comments too. I love getting that from you guys. It's really fun to see.
So yeah, that's all we got for tonight, guys. Great job.
Perfect. I do want to do one more shout out. If you guys saw our show last week, I had some comments for Latta Lakeview. I may have missed it. Big win for the Latta Vikings. We had a video come out today kind of making fun of me, and I do want to give a shout out to the Latta Vikings. Hats off to Latta. Big win over Lakeview last week. They are certainly not Little Bro this year. Wow. A huge win for Coach Eisman's squad. Way to go, Vikings. And check out that video. It's making fun of myself. If you can't do it, who can, right? So a lot of fun there and huge win for those guys. But Moving the Chains, as always, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. For Jarrell Hendricks and John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our Week 9 preview show here on Moving the Chains, and we'll talk to you guys next week.